The lip that hangs out on my teeth on this side. Hello, everybody. All right, so today I attended Seth Godin's Real Skills Conference. It was a 2-hour conference, and it was really, really good. It really was. I thought I was going to be able to, just sign on and get it and do some other work on the side and listen with half an ear. But first of all, you couldn't do that, okay, because there were no slides, no speakers. It was just the 500 or so people that attended the conference, and it was on Zoom. And I mean, it was just really good. So what we did was that 2 hours flew by. I mean, it really did fly by. So so we got in there, they told us all the stuff, and we went into separate rooms, and talked about, what real skills are, why they're not soft skills, because real skills, meaning if soft skills seems to be less important, right, than technical skills. Okay. But they're not, because that's what you notice in people, right, is the soft skills. That's the stuff that gets you to the next level, really. And if it's the technical that gets you to the next level, I promise it's the soft that's going to keep you there. Okay. Because if you don't have it, you're going to be kicked to the curb pretty soon. So we would go, I think it was like 4 breakout sessions that we went into with different people to talk about, what makes us afraid to use our real skills. And first of all, what real skills are, so we listed them, like empathy and listening and vulnerability and courage, stuff like that. And then what stops us from using it? Many of us had the same kind of answer. It's like fear of judgment, really stops you from using your real skills, stops you from telling the truth, and it was very good. I've never been to a conference like that. And it was almost like an unconference, it really was. It was almost like an unconference where, I mean, they gave us the questions, but we really, facilitated ourselves. So it was really great. I liked it. And, some aspects of what they did, I want to try to incorporate into some of the things that I'm doing, but no slides, no speakers, nothing like that. Okay. And it was great. It really was great. And the way they use Zoom to facilitate it was just awesome. Okay. I need to brush up on my Zooming. Now what I noticed, because it was noticeable, I did not see any other Black people there. I didn't see them, like in the whole thing that I was in. I'm not saying they weren't there. I'm saying it was very much from my, from what the part that I can see, not very diverse when it came to that kind of thing. And again, this is just my opinion. Okay. Now, and so I see that in a lot of places. Okay. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. I just see it in a lot of places. So what I do, one way that I've learned to design my training is I no longer use or really talk about objectives, okay? Because that doesn't seem to be deep enough. It doesn't seem to be meaningful enough. I use 2 different things. Okay, the first one is belief. Okay, so when you design to influence what someone believes about a certain thing, that's a different design than designing to objectives. Okay, so instead of by the end of this course, this person will be able to, let me think of something, will be able to drive a car. Okay, that's an objective. At the end of this course, this person will be able to drive a car. Now, a belief statement would be, by the end of this learning experience, this person will be able to, or this person will believe that safety is important when driving a car or something like that, you know, because from looking at choice theory, a large part of choice theory is total behavior, right? And we learn a lot about performance and behavior. Like that's what we're, you know, trying to change or influence. And that's true, right? But according to total behavior, what you do, your action is not all that there is to behavior, okay? So what I'm doing now, the talking, the moving my hands and, you know, all that, there's more going on than just what you see. According to total behavior, there's thinking going on, feeling, and physiology, okay, along with what you actually see. And you can't ignore those other parts of behavior, right? And we know that. You know, we absolutely know that. It's very easy to change the act, you know, the action. So if you're working in an organization and there's a new policy, you know, that says you have to, you know, check in with your boss every 3 hours or whatever. Okay, you may do that, right? But when you get another, but that's not going to stick, you know. It's not. You're just doing it because there is a reward or a punishment if you don't, right? Have you really changed your behavior if you're doing it for a reward or a punishment? Okay, because as soon as that boss leaves, guess what's going to happen? All right, and that happens a lot in government, and I'm familiar with government because I worked in there for so long. You know, when the new person comes in and they have these new rules and stuff, well, we do that, you know. But we're looking at the clock when they're leaving, okay? Because we're gonna go back to doing what we really want to do. All right. Because we don't, you know, it's not, that behavior is not rooted in anything. It's not rooted at all. Now, your root is in the belief. Okay, that's gonna keep the thing going. All right, that's gonna, no matter whether they leave, you know, they come back, it don't matter. Okay, because the belief is gonna root it, and it takes much more than, you know, a training course to change somebody's mind about something, you know. Or I said that wrong, because you can't change anybody's mind. However, you know, they have to do that themselves. But so that's what I see. I see a lot of it is mindset, right? In design, if you're really, really, really looking to do something, and it's not really you doing something, because it's about creating a learning environment, right, where the person feels free to, you know, consider something else and possibly make another choice. Okay, possibly believe in something else than what they already do. Okay, because in choice theory, it also talks about how everything you do stems from what you believe. Okay, everything you do stems from that. So for those of us, you know, trying to quit smoking, what else? Lose weight, be nicer to our spouses or, you know, significant others, you know, stop cursing, or whatever it is, whatever behavior we're trying to change. You gotta, if you really want it to happen, you have to go to the form. Okay, I mean the content, which is what you're thinking. Okay, which is that other part of behavior that we don't see or talk about or want to consider. There was in Made to Stick, which is a wonderful book. I might add that to my book club for next month. But Made to Stick talks about how they did research where individuals who had heart problems, they went to the doctor, you know, with heart disease or some other heart issue, and the doctor would say, listen, This is how you have to change your behavior. You know, you got to stop it with the cigarettes. You got to stop it with the fatty foods and the salt and whatever. Okay. Are you going to die? Like the consequence is death. Okay. It's death. And the research, over 80% of the people went back to what they were doing. Now listen, somebody just told you you're going to die. Okay. If you don't change your behavior, and that still didn't work. It didn't work. It did not work, you know, because they didn't change their mind. You know, they didn't change their mind about it. They may have changed their behavior for a week or two or a month or 6 months, whatever, but this did not change. Okay. It wasn't rooted in anything. And how do you do that, though? How do you change the belief? So on my Patreon, I have information. I did a whole presentation about leverage points. Okay. There's a 12. Now this is online, like the 12 leverage points, but I, massaged it and, did some really good things with it. But in those 12, you have at the very bottom, you have physical changes, things you can leverage physically. Now, those are very easy to do. That's the low-hanging fruit. They're very easy to do, but they don't make that much of a difference, okay? I was telling a friend of mine the other day about how it's like if someone's having problems in their home, okay? So the kids aren't doing well in school, and the house isn't clean, and, bills aren't getting paid on time and all that. So you go in there and you say, okay, well, these are some of the things you can do. Let's make sure the alarm clock is set. You can have a maid come in, twice a week. And, so they do stuff to help them, get the house in order. But what they don't see is that there's an abusive situation going on in that house. There's physical abuse happening, okay? But that's not addressed, okay? They're just looking at, okay, well, let's change the furniture around in here. Let's buy you, a nice, comfortable mattress for the bed, and which is fine. I mean, the outside will look great, but underneath, where that abuse is happening, it's dark and dirty and terrible. It's really bad. You gotta do something about that. Okay. If anything, changing the furniture around, or how they say, changing the tables and stuff around on the Titanic. What the hell is that gonna do? What's that gonna do? The ship is sinking. Okay. What's changing the furniture around gonna do? You got to do something about that hole. Okay. That's what you got to do. So a physical leverage point ain't gonna do much if you're trying to make some kind of change. Now, the higher up you go, the more control you have, but the less willing you will be to change. Now, the highest leverage point is the whole paradigm, and few people will want to touch that. It's where you got the most control. The 100% control, but a few people want to touch it. Okay. And that's things like things for sure, okay, that you just don't even consider questioning, right? Like something simple, like nouns and verbs are two different things. Doesn't that seem like a ridiculous thing to question? Like it's stuff that we just know. It's like what else could it be? That's crazy to question that, right? Paradigm shift is not easy. It's not. You got 100% control of it, but more than likely you ain't gonna want to touch it. You'd rather move the furniture around. Now, I'm saying that because I know what I'm talking about. Okay. But at some point, you just get so exhausted that that you kind of don't have a choice. You got to change the paradigm, or you got to do it. You get too tired to do anything else. Now all you got left is the truth, that, and that's the only thing left in your toolbox. So now you got to say, okay, I don't know what the hell is going on, pretty much. So right now I'm working on redoing a training that I'm in cybersecurity now, right? So all the learning stuff that I do, well, not all of it, but a lot of it is dealing with that in IT and cybersecurity. So I'm redoing two certifications that people typically get. Very technical. I mean, I'm technical down to the bone, down to the bone. So I'm adding a lot of things in there to make it make sense, so you're not just in the class trying to remember stuff, because you don't understand it. If you understand something, you don't have to remember it. You don't have to remember it. There's a lot of memorization going on in IT and cybersecurity with a lot of these certifications, because people don't understand. They don't know what things are. They don't. Because they're just like thrown into it. It's like nobody in the United States of America, born to, English speaking parents. Well, not let me say nobody. Most people in the United States, for example, born to English speaking parents, don't have to go to school to learn English. You don't have to go to school to learn English. You already know it. You know it in preschool. Okay. The year before kindergarten, English. You didn't have to go to school for that. Why? Because the people around you speak it. You hear it all the time. You pick it up. You go to school to learn the rules, the grammatical rules around English. But when you go, you're already fluent. You're already fluent. Okay. Now you're just finding out, what is a noun and a verb and where does it go, and all that. So that's the way it should happen, right? But people getting into this field, they're not fluent in computers and IT and all that. Like, they may send an email, play some games and all that, but they don't know what the hell is going on in the back office. They don't know how all that is working and happening, and they don't know that. So they have to start with becoming fluent. Okay. What we're trying to do is we're trying to put kids, it's like putting a child in kindergarten who has never heard the English language, does not speak it, is not fluent, and teaching them grammatical rules. It's like, what? Like, what are you trying to do? Doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. They will have such a hard time. Can you imagine going to school not knowing English and being taught grammatical rules? When you're like, what the hell is going on? So here it's like people coming into the field, they have to get fluent first. Okay, they have to be fluent in it first. Then they can learn all the, the rules and all that stuff having to do with, how computers work and how they communicate and all that. We're doing it backwards. We're doing it backwards. So I'm what the stuff I'm doing is helping to increase fluency, so you can at least speak to it, and then you go in and you learn all the rules and all that stuff. So one of the things I want to show y'all in here is my understanding by design. That's something that I learned, I don't know, like 2 years ago. I understand, and I love it. Of course, I modified it a bit, and I put belief statements in there instead of objectives. But I have a whole entire, it's like 9 pages or something of a program where I use understanding by design to create that. It's very comprehensive. I think it's great, but it's mine. That's just me. It is good though. And after I do that, I'll just put it on my Patreon, for anybody who wants to download it or see it or, use it for something they're doing. I'm going to do that. But in order to get to the root of stuff, you know, which is where how racism, systemic racism, right, informs the way I design. I'm about getting to the root. I'm gonna get into the root, okay? Not necessarily to change minds, but to let them know that minds can be changed, okay? You can't change it, all right? So with the belief statements instead of objectives, that means when I teach, you know, and when I learn, it's about going deeper than the behavior, okay, which informs the kind of design it is when you're trying to go deeper than behavior, when you're trying to get to the mindset of the person, okay. And you'll see that when I show you the understanding my design, the kinds of things, you know, that are in there. One of those things is for one of the courses that I worked on for leaders. It was about getting the people that their decisions impact into the learning experience. Okay? The decisions you make impact this group of people. So let me bring a person in who is feeling those decisions so that you can see what they're experiencing. You know, or some other, you know, stakeholder who's impacted by decisions impact people. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. All right. So again, the Real Skills Conference was very good. I'm probably going to say a little bit about it on my LinkedIn. I don't know. And they set up a group on LinkedIn too for the people who participated. But it was good information, very good information. It validated a lot of things that I'm doing. So that's all I have for y'all today. I'll be back with the Understanding by Design to go through that. And y'all can have a good evening. Okay.